Karen Birchall here. This is my second video about journal prompts. I just finished the video using putting my journal prompts on the backs of a card, where I also did an ATC on the other side, so that you had the chance of using the prompt or taking some inspiration from my little ATC. Halfway through doing that one, I had the idea that I should classify them into some categories, that would make sense to me, and I would, especially after I started watching and doing Journaling by Fives by Shannon Green, thought I definitely should sort those out by categories. But I was in too big of a hurry to get that done, and I didn't do it, and the more I thought about it, the more I thought I needed to do it. So I decided to redo it. I've added some additional prompts on these sticks that I didn't have there. Again, I watched more videos. I saw a few more techniques. I've developed some skills and some abilities and likes and dislikes, and I've gotten braver and bolder, and so some of the prompts that are on here reflect that. So I'm just going to walk you through how I created these craft stick prompts, and so that you can create them too. Now I like these. They're very simple to use. I went to our dollar store and I bought a package of 50 of these, and it was in 6 colors, which I thought, okay, I can handle 6 categories. I know there were 5 prompts that were journaling by fives. Gives me one to spare. So I bought these 50 for, I think it was $1.50, maybe $2. Bought them. Then I went through my prompt cards that I had, and I started to sort them into categories. And lo and behold, if I didn't come up with 6 different prompts. Now the red is paint or ink medium. Basically, this is the main color source that you're going to use. So I went through my list of supplies that I had, as well as ones that I thought maybe I'm going to use. So as an example, there's Lindy Starburst sprays, Inktense pencils, Inktense blocks, Ceramic Coat acrylics, gelatos, gel sticks, Lindy's Magicals, Neocolor 2 crayons, metallic paint, and so on. So I kind of went with what I had. I have extras, so if I buy another type of paint or ink, I can just simply add it to one of the sticks and add it to my prompts, and go that way. So red, paint or ink medium. Purple was ways of getting texture onto your page. So something that would go in this category, using tissue paper, using cheesecloth or gauze, using a newspaper or pattern paper, cover the whole page with book paper, use gesso in the middle of a project, use colored deli paper, paint soaked dripped on, use modeling or texture paste, use a doily. And as you see, I have them on both sides. Use 3 different textures, use book pages. The green ones, ways that we achieve pattern. So use the edge of a credit card to make lines. I noticed in some videos that people would take the credit card, dip it into paint, and then make little lines, and I really like that effect. So I added it to it because I didn't want to forget that technique, because sometimes as you watch all these videos, what do you do with all that information? Use rolling stamps. I made a whole bunch of homemade rolling stamps. Yvonne Gaybauer at My Therapy Room YouTube videos we've made a series of 3 videos all about homemade stamps. Use found objects to make circles and shapes. Use homemade stamps only. Use a new or an old stamp or stencil. You know, sometimes you buy some and you forget about what you have in your stash. So it's a reminder to dig it out. Use a mask and use a puzzle piece. So again, I can add to it as I go. Blue. In blue, I put either a theme or a color theme. So in here, I thought sometimes I like to stick to certain colors. So here, red. Start with a magazine phrase or image. So that would set the theme. Use neutral colors only. Use an ocean theme. Use the colors of the clothes you're wearing. Use a fall theme. Use blue. Start with a personal memory. Use a personal photo. Green. Gardening theme. Use a monochromatic color scheme. Anything that would challenge you. And again, I have my journal, my book at the side, and I have a few more that I'm going to add to this as I go. The orange are names of some techniques or things that I've seen on videos that I want to remember and try. So they're techniques that you can use. Use a baby wipe through a stencil, wiping out and getting that ghosting effect. Stencil 2 times, moving the stencil slightly the second time. Use a resist technique with a gel medium. Cover the background with black or white and use a mask. Stamp into wet gesso. Use the rubbing alcohol technique. Or use only a palette knife to apply all your mediums. So these are all techniques that you can have. Now in the yellow one, I have just kind of additional details. Add lines. Use text from a magazine. Shade or highlight something. Doodle with pens or pencils. Add hearts. Use something from page 24 of a magazine that you have close by. Doodle flowers or vines. Just little tidbits, things that I had. Now, some of this could go under a technique or an additional one or a texture. I didn't really worry. Sometimes it will show up under both, and sometimes it'll show up under one, because really, does it matter? This is just a general way of doing it. So there I have my prompt sticks, and I do have this on a Word document with my categories that I have up on the wall to remember what's what, and I have it printed out on pages. So what I did is I used tissue paper or deli paper, I'm not sure, I can't remember which I did, and I used the deli paper to print on, and then I cut them all apart like that, and I just adhered it with some Mod Podge. And as you can see on some, like the colors came off of, especially the blue came off of the blue. So, you know, I wasn't too worried about that. That didn't bother me. I will be making a video to show how to print onto deli paper. There's a little bit of a trick you can use, and I've found a couple different ways of doing it, so I want to share that with you. So, how would I use these? Typically, I just have a dollar store container that I keep them on. So, again, I might just pick one of each and go with that. Now, some of them have one on one side and one on the other side, and some only have one side, depending on how many I had. So use a cheesecloth or gauze. Use tissue paper. So, you know, I might do that. Add black in the details. Use watercolor paints. Use Lindy's Glit Spritz. I don't own Lindy's Glit Spritz yet. I Don't know that I will. I have several other Lindy's products that I love. Right now it's not a need. Use watercolor paints. Use the rubbing alcohol technique. Now that may not work with the watercolor paints. It actually does. It works with both. Use the colors of your present outfit. For me would be navy, black, and white. And a green one. Use found objects to make circles and shapes. So I would have these and I would start. And sometimes I don't have an idea of where it's going to go. Sometimes I am inspired by one of these things and I go. This is very vague, so we just start using tissue paper, different colors, add some details. This doesn't mean that you can't use any other prompts, that you can't use any other medium, that I can't use a focal point from a magazine or whatever. These are just ones that we're going to use for this to experiment with. Other times I might be in the middle of a page and I don't know. You know, I'm kind of stuck. I don't know what to do. So I just might pull these out and just start looking at them. Okay, can I do this? I might just say, okay, let's see what techniques I can use. I think I need to add more texture, so I might grab all the purple ones. So usually I have them sorted. Now it's a bit of a mess because I've pulled them out for you. And I might use the doily. Oh, I'm going to dig out that doily I have. Modeling paste, use newspaper, and go with that. And it'll just get you out of that, get you to that next stage. Don't be afraid to try something new. What's the worst thing that can happen? You might have to gesso over the whole thing and start over. Or you throw out the piece of paper and you've learned something. That's how great things happen. More times than not, I'm really surprised when you stick to it and keep going how excuse me, what a good effect you can have. And every page doesn't have to be wonderful. You're learning, you're having fun, you're creating and stuff. So look for the files